Good morning, social listen. It's November 27th, 2025, 2:32 a.m. Happy Thanksgiving. This is part 2 of predictive programming in Stranger Things. I got a doozy for you on this one. This is going to sound probably crazy, but really, if you think about it, it's really not that crazy. Okay, where do I start? The last part 1, was about antenna being like a receiver. So wow. All right. So that's where this comes in. The antenna, like they're receiving. Okay, bear with me on this. That's hard to read. All right, so I remember when we had the auroras. If you guys remember, everybody was saying, "Oh, maybe it was HARP that was creating the auroras," right? Well, what would that be? That would be frequency waves, and that's what we were talking about in part 1. If they were sending like frequency waves through certain different things, like cell phone towers, or through HARP, through satellites, maybe through cell phones, tablets, computers, etc. Right? Now, this whole thing with Stranger Things is like resembling CERN. What if CERN is putting out a signal into space, into other dimensions, that causes everyone to see or hear something like UFOs, angels, aliens, or what if it's just certain people, maybe they got a jibby jab, and those people, because they'd have to have something in them to act as a receiver and like an antenna. Bear with me, this is crazy. Or through HARP, or through all those other things, the devices that I just mentioned. Or what if this is really throwing it out there? I'm just throwing a bunch of stuff out there, so maybe one of them will hit. But if you have any other ideas to add to this, please feel free to throw that in the comments. What if 3i Atlas, which is really throwing it out there crazy. But the only thing is the timing of it makes me throw that into the mix too. What if it's sending frequency waves that affect people, and they see things or hear things, and they all hear the same thing at the same, or see something at the same time, like into a hive mind thing. And maybe it affects them. Maybe they go into some kind of a trance or something. Keep with me. Now here's something that I kind of just discovered, which is weird. All right, so bear with me now. So the towers have the number 5 and that 7th letter of the alphabet, right? We all know the new one's coming out with the number 6. But if you take that other letter and put it into a number, what do you get? You get 7. 6, 7. You know how that's been like trending with kids lately? Just bear with me. There's something with kids still coming. I'm hoping that this thing will stay on this thing. So in this case, they had to be in the right proximity in order to receive those visions or the frequency waves, and this is what I'm kind of thinking the predictive programming is, right? But how do you get, how do you get kids to be in a trance through games, through stuff that's they're seeing on their screens, on their computers, phones, etc., right? In this episode, for some reason, Vecna, the main evil villain in this whole thing, he targets Holly Wheeler, who in this is supposed to be 7 years old. And here's another weird thing, too. She's supposed to be 7 years old in here, but her age is 14, but it was 12 when she started. But that's the real person. But in the storyline, they have her as 9 or 10 years old. All her classmates are 9 and 10 years old. But so they messed up on that part. But that's weird that they would do that. That's another thing, too. I'm just throwing this all out there. Why would they? She's supposed to be 7 in here. She was born in 1980, and this is supposed to be 1987. But they have her at 9 or 10 years old for some reason. And she looks a lot older than that, which she is in real life. But anyway. Okay, so for some reason, he went after this Holly Wheeler kid, and she had nothing to do with anything, so they were all perplexed on why he chose her. So we don't know the reason for that yet. But then in the next scene, they showed a street light, which, it didn't turn purple or nothing, but that made me think of the purple street lights. What if the street lights have something to do with something that maybe activates something? Bear with me still. Remember, and this is weird too. Last year, about the same time in November, was when we saw all the flashing lights. All those street lights were flashing, and there was other lights flashing. Cars' headlights were flashing, everything. And then it kind of just died off after like 4 months. Weird. And then we had the drones at the same time too. Right? And guess what else we had at the same time? We had fog. And now we're having the fog again. Now, bear with me. You've seen those videos where the fog has those like particles floating through the air. And people were getting sick and stuff like that, right? What if that was just a test for now? And now they're doing the fog again, because fog seems to be all over the United States and all over the world all at the same time again. So you breathe in these particles, and then suddenly you have these nanoparticles, and you become an antenna. I know, this is crazy. But hear me out still. So they disperse the fog. People breathe it in. They have that stuff in their system. They become an antenna to receive messages. And then the 6-7 happens. And then they become a receiver to receive messages. And what as if it's not even a real message? I mean, what as if it's something that's not real, or they're seeing something that's not really there, or hearing something that's not really there. We've had that already with that. What is it? I can't remember, something in the skull. Frequencies. I don't remember what the word was I'm looking for. Help me. Right? So, all right. Now, then there's something else that happened too. So in this thing, Will here is the receiver. So he can see what the Demigorgon is seeing, or Vecna himself. Or, in this case, Holly. So he was seeing that. So what if they're trying to be able to, I don't know, some kind of a mind reading thing? Or where you could, I don't know, whatever. Then there was this. Hold on. He needs to get into the hive mind to be able to find her. But she's being hidden and behind a wall, which I'll show you in a second here. But look at what happens right in here. Okay, there's this part. A mandala. They mentioned 5th grade. a mandala is like a spiral, but it's also geometric shapes. And I'm going to show you that next. And that spiral puts you in a trance, right? So if you look at mandala's meanings, what happened to the other one? All right, so it's a geometric configuration of symbols, and it can be used to put somebody into a trance. And we've seen where the spirals, where they spin around, and you see it in like kids' cartoons, like they're trying to put the kids into a trance. And the 6-7, all the kids are all crazy about that 6-7. But what if that's what it is? And they're just showing us right out in the blue, right in our faces. So there's geometric shapes, and look at that shape right there. Right? And some of them represent, it looks like flowers. Now that's what I was trying to find. Hold on. Okay, some of them look like flowers. Maybe kind of like a lotus flower even. So they can't get to her. And L11 can't psychically see where she's at because she's behind this wall. And then I thought, well, maybe it's something like a firewall. So maybe there's something that they could do to trap the kid or trap somebody's mind somewhere where nobody could reach them. I don't know, I'm just throwing all this stuff out there. So there's this big wall, but this is like a wall of the, whatever you want to call it, but it's part of the Vecna. To block, anybody from going in to get anything that they've taken back from not the upside down, but the regular side of the world, the real world, taking them back down to the upside down world where they can't get out. Wow, that's a lot. But in the end, he was just tricking her, and he could represent Satan. And how he tricks kids through the internet, through the phones, through the frequencies. I don't know, I'm just throwing all this out here, guys. But I'm telling you, it's weird. And I think it's predictive programming of what's coming. And they're coming after the kids. We've seen the thing before with the next supposed pandemic, and they were targeting kids in that situation too. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I think this is definitely some predictive programming. If there's anything you can throw in there, if you've seen it, and maybe saw something that I didn't see, please comment in there and comment anything that you might think that might add to this. I think they're showing through this show predictive programming of what is coming. Maybe it's through frequencies, targeting kids. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. God bless.